So you lovers of military weapons out there, you might like to not go any further because this is a butchered 98 action. Got no room here. The light shining behind me means I put a shadow over the gun, so I've had to come this side and there's not much room and I just can't be bothered moving the table, but I will tomorrow because I've got to wash that, or at least take it outside and give it a shake. It's covered in dirt and shit. But it's raining outside now, so it's cooled down a hell of a lot, which is great. Now, this gun, my father gave it to me when I was about 12 years old. He was pissed, and I don't think he remembered, because the next day I was walking around with it and he said, "What are you doing with that?" He'd forgotten. He'd given it to me. But it was my dead brother's rifle. He died in 1964 of leukemia. I was born in 1965. So it was given to me. I knew it was my brother's, but I didn't really understand the significance of it. It was open-sighted. It had 303 sights on it, I remember that. And it was drilled and tapped for a scope mount, but there was no scope mount on it. So I started hassling my father. I want a scope, I want a scope, I want a scope. Finally he relented, and I don't know if that's the scope mount that he bought me or not. I forget now. It looks like that era. And I bought a 6-power Nico Sterling Silver Crown. And I thought I was hot shit. I could hit something the size of a dinner plate at 50 metres as I wobbled everywhere with the gun that was 4 times more heavy than I could handle. He taught me how to reload, and as soon as I could do that he stopped reloading because he was sick of it. He was thinking, fuck for that, he's doing the reloading. As the years went by, I replaced, there was a metallic thing there the Germans put there, so you could pull your bolt apart, you could get the spring, get the firing pin out. As you can see, it's a nice piece of wood, and that's a 1951 Australian florin. You can't see it because my camera is shit. That's a nice tiger stripe piece of German walnut. It's whoever done a really nice job. I've got to admit, if I ever find someone who makes rifle stocks who I can get to easily, I'd have some of these made up actually, just maybe a little bit longer because it is short. Anyway, getting back to the gun, it's in 303. It was in 303-25, which is just the 303 case neck down to 25 caliber. Full charge, 87 grain projectile. 2,000. I think you could get 3,000 with a front locker, but it was about 2,700 with an old smelly action. So I used to use IMR, I think it was 3031, which is the equivalent to AR2208, but that was a bit fast. I really should have been using 09, but I didn't know any better in those days. So I've done a lot of target shooting, and I realised the old Nico was crap. So I went up to a 39x40 Weaver. I can remember that. I had, even after I took it off this, I had that fucking scope for years. Don't know what happened to it. And then I progressed to the 6.5x20 Leopold, which has been on it ever since. I got a new barrel on it. I got a Douglas because I pestered my father to go to Don Macara, who was the gunsmith over in Birmingham Gardens in Newcastle. And he was in his 80s when he done this, in the 1980s, and he didn't really want to do it. He had a gun there, it was a 308 Norma Magnum built on exactly the same action. He's trying to sell me that. "Ah, fucking, you don't want that shit, young fella. This is what you want, a 308 Norma." And I went, "No, I want a 303-25 improved." And to you people from America, that's 303-25 Epps. Except in Australia, not many people know who Epps was. So I shall get, that's a 303-25. And here is a 30, I'm not loaded of course, a 303.25 improved that this thing runs. And of course it's not going to turn out good because this camera is crap. But it's virtually straight wall, it's got a very steep shoulder angle, and I can easily put 50 grains of AR 2209 in it, which is a fairly slow burning powder. I do own a chronograph and I have clocked it. That is a big load for it. 50 grains is, the projectiles are the primers are starting to get flat, but they're not flat, so 50 grains is pretty safe. And on the chronograph they averaged out at 3,444 feet per second with a 100 grain pill. So that puts it on par with the 2506. Admittedly this has got a bit longer barrel than what I can remember. I had to convince him to leave the barrel full length. He thought I was fucking crazy. So it's on par with the 2506, not using as much powder, nowhere near as noisy, and nowhere near as much recoil. Because my friend back in this era had a 2506 and he only bought it just to annoy me. It was a Remington, and oh god, fuck, it was just noisy and brutal, and it didn't outperform this, even though I never told him. Well, I didn't own the chronograph back then. It was actually after we become unfriends that I bought the chronograph, so he wouldn't even know unless of course he stumbles across this video. Tony, remember me, Tony? Anyway, where was I up to? Yeah, I got it down to about an inch, and that was as far as it'd go. And I just thought, oh well, it's just not a very accurate rifle. I had it checked out by different gunsmiths, and about 5 years ago I noticed something funny with the scope, and I actually took the scope off and I sent it back to the factory to be looked at, and it actually had internal problems, and Leopold actually fixed it, and now it easily shoots under an inch. But the problem is, after the thousands of shots I've fired through it, it is getting a little bit worn in the throat. I wish I had the scope in better order back when the barrel was new. But anyway, them's the breaks, and I'll probably never get round to getting another barrel. But I might, you never know. So, this was my first gun. A centerfire at 12, and for you people who don't like that, bad luck. If you don't like it, you can always fuck off. And with that, I'm going, oh, hang on, I'll just show you the other side. It's got a piece of wood. I don't know what that was. It's obviously something to do with the original, the old K98 stock that had to be inserted there. I'm not real sure. But that little piece of wood, that's very well done. There's a lot of stuff that was done back in this era by someone who really did know their woodwork. And they just got old military stuff and they done it up. They've done a bloody beautiful job on these. Anyway, that's it. The 303.25 improved, or as my father's 303.25 improved was called the Macara Magnum, which the barrel on that was absolutely burnt out, and I actually had it taken off and sent to the scrappers a few years ago. Wish I had kept it now. But there's a lot of things we wish we had have done, isn't there, people? Goodbye.